Welcome to the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show presented by Duke Cannon. Today we have an insane episode and we're going to dive into the Waterdogs flipping the script on the Cannons, Mac O'Keefe exploding for 7 goals, the Atlas going from first to worst, and some crazy NCAA rule changes, and ultimately finish out with an interview with the legend Brett Dobson. We'll jump right into the PLL action. 3 weeks after losing 19-5 to the Cannons, the Waterdogs defeat Boston 17-10. What was the biggest difference in this one, Kev?
Oh, CJ Kirst. He's the ultimate bucket getter, and he didn't play in that first matchup. 23 goals in his past 6 PLL games since he moved to attack. 9 goals in 2 games so far this year. That's tied for 3rd in the PLL. The only players who are ahead of him have played twice as many games. 6 goals against the Cannons this weekend was a new career high for him, but that's nothing new. 247 career goals in college, NCAA record, Mr. 247, scored him 24/7. It's not how many he scored, it's how he scores these buckets. When he gets a switch to a short stick, it's over. And if you don't, it doesn't matter because he can beat your best long pole one-on-one with or without a pick. He scored lefty, he scored righty, he's got a leaner, he's got a toe drag, he's got a question mark. His bag literally has no bottom. And when he's done beating you one-on-one, he'll go to work off ball. He's the Waterdogs' best off-ball player on the crease, finishing, cutting. He can do it all. If you're a young attackman and you're not watching CJ Kirst game film, if you're not studying it, you're not doing everything you can to be the best player you can be.
His bag literally has no bottom. Did you like that one, Dukes?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, it's facts too.
His bag
facts, no print.
literally has no bottom. I love that, Kev. Starting with you, Unk status. We'll get to you a little bit later on some more CJ stuff, but Dukes, let's get you in the mix. Is CJ Kirst who should be the MVP? Should be? Did I say that right?
Probably no, you're so close. You'll get it.
Yeah, you're so close. You almost,
I can't do it like the king.
Yeah, you almost messed it up more than me. But, yeah, 100%. He's who the MVP should have been. We see second-year guys take leaps all the time. Look at the MVP race last year. Shelley, O'Neal, Cav. We're all in the MVP race. Eventually, Shelley got it done. But also look at Sowers, year 2, finals MVP in the championship game. Dobson, who we'll get to later on in this episode. Yep. He was another second-year guy who won a championship MVP in his second year. I think CJ Kirst is the next one who takes home the personal hardware this year. Remember, the PLL top 100 players or top 50 players list last year, he came in at number 11, the highest rated rookie, and he only played in a couple of games. Chris Cav, who had an awesome rookie year, he came in at 12. Some people thought it was controversial. I think that says a lot about what he could do on the field last year, and again, it's voted on by the players. So, yeah, I think CJ Kirst does take home the MVP this year.
And the
time out. Does anyone remember their MVP picks at the beginning of the year?
Yes, I said Shelley, and
I said Sowers.
Dukes, you had O'Neal. I said CJ Kirst.
Love it.
It is the second-year jump, too, though, because CJ Kirst, I think, agreeing right now, is the favorite for MVP. But who's right behind him, nipping at his butt? It's Aiden Carroll, another second-year guy. So we see all these second-year guys. I'd say the MVP conversation right now is CJ Kirst and Aiden Carroll through 4 weeks. The second-year jump, that's the thing. We're seeing a pattern now year after year of the guys taking that second leap. And even Coulter Mackesy, too. He led the PLL in points just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, why do you think that is? With the second-year jump and the MVP? Just get more used to it, or do you think honestly it might be?
Pro's pro, dude.
But hold on, Hoagie. Do you think it's the aspect of those guys having a little time off to then get back into the game, right? You know, we're talking CJ last year's playing from January 1st until middle of September. Is it the time off, you think, or is it more just getting adjusted to this style of game?
I think personally it's getting adjusted to the style of the game. I think it's a bigger jump than people realize. Like college players' stick work will always be there in the first summer. And I think the shooting skills will always be there. But I do think it's an adjustment for the physicality and the speed, just on a personal level. And you just see who cares about the game and the craft more. Rookies all come in like an even playing field, keeping the stick sharp. But I think the guys that really care and really want to be professionals in this league come in to work. Look at Krevsky. Look at Mitch's video. Working before get after it.
And the
work,
Italian said it himself.
Yeah.
If you're a finance guy, I'm not drafting you. Hoagie, let's bounce back to you. CJ Kirst, Waterdogs, as a team, who stood out to you on the Waterdogs as a whole, besides CJ?
To me, this week, it was the emergence of Kyle Lewis and Josh Yago in the midfield for the Waterdogs, and we've talked about it last week of Philadelphia really struggling to get production out of their midfield the last 2 weeks in their back-to-back losses after having a great week one in the opening weekend in Utah. And to me, that was kind of the missing piece, and what they needed to really jumpstart this offense was elite play out of the midfield, and they got that this weekend. Kyle Lewis, he had 2 goals on the weekend, and he showed flashes that he has a chance to be a really special player in this league. I mean, just watching him come off out of the box, making dodges, making plays. I mean, first goal of your PLO career, behind the back goal in your first shot. I mean, come on now. He had a couple other shots that didn't end up going in, but you could tell. I mean, this is a guy who I think as he grows and gets better and better, is going to be a really special player. And then Josh Yago, too. He had 2 goals, including 1 2-point goal on the night. So he's going to be key all year long. I love the way he played. And I think Josh Yago's ability to be comfortable and play any spot in the field is going to be big for the Waterdogs. He's a natural attackman, but having to play midfield is fine because, he can invert, he can move to X. He's not going to have that issue. So I think they got production out of the guys they need to each week. Jack Hanna had 2 goals. Connor Kelly added a goal. And if Philly can get consistent production out of this midfield, that was really the key each week. With all the firepower they have down at attack, they're as dangerous as any team in the league week to week. This team, that's what Philly looked like when they get midfield production. We've seen what they look like when they don't get midfield production. But we talked about it last week. Insert these rookies in the lineup. They insert them this week. Dominant win.
Also, I found this tidbit to be really cool that I learned on Twitter after the game, that CJ Kirst, and it was talking about his leadership role this season and the jump he took. He went out to Long Island with Brendan Staub, Garden City's finest, also got a goal. Shout out to Kev and AP behind the scenes for posting that goal. Go Garden City. But they practiced with Kyle Lewis, and CJ Kirst was able to help Kyle Lewis go over offensive sets, cuts, things that the Waterdogs offense likes to do. And I thought that was really cool because we talked about the second-year leap talent-wise that CJ might have in these second-year guys, but I think just also from a leadership perspective, it's pretty cool.
Cool to care moment. CJ
Cool.
putting in the extra time with the teammates, the rookies.
Kev, what are your overall thoughts on that?
On Kyle Lewis, I thought he was amazing. I mean, going BTB for your first shot and your first goal in the PLL is insane. And then he had that behind-the-back assist, near assist to Kieran McCardle. I mean, just an absolutely insane performance from a guy bursting onto the scene from D2, which some people don't even know it's real. The D3 pod guys told us it's not real. Well, they would have to account for Kyle Lewis somehow.
Definitely. Boston, sticking with them, some problems on the defensive side, Kev. What are we seeing down there?
To be honest, man, Boston's got some deep-rooted issues on defense. The Cannons had the worst defense in the league last year, and then they had Garrett Apple and Bryce Young both retire. So there goes your leadership out the door. There's some new personnel in the mix right now with Owen Grant bumping down to close defense. Hunter Smith is trying to find his footing as a rookie. And as a result, they just look like a very unorganized unit. We broke it down multiple times on Freeze It right here on the PLL channel. But sometimes they slide 2 to the ball. Sometimes they slide 0 to the ball. And they're repeating the same mistakes week over week. And I think the worst part about this is it's leaving Colin Kirst out to dry. He's a good goalie, but he's not a great enough goalie to cover up those deficiencies. 50% save percentage. It's the worst in the league. And he got benched against the Waterdogs. Also, CJ Kirst, savage of him, going against his brother, doing nothing to save his job, just pummeling him onto the bench. They've gone at it in the backyard plenty of times like that. But overall, I think defenses need to play well as a unit. We saw the last couple of weeks, the Archers didn't look so good on offense, but defensively they had it going on. And you see the big difference, we'll talk about it later, is Mac O'Keefe going off for 7 goals. It's not as easy for a defense to just be one guy go off for a career high goals. You need the whole unit working together. So I think the best units are the ones that we see year over year consistency. I think of the Archers, the Whipsnakes, the Chaos, where they have, same goalie, same key defense in the mix. So unfortunately, I don't see any quick fix for the Cannons, and that's bad news for Brian Holman and company.
Cannons, you said it, 1-3 in the standings this year. As a whole, Hoagie, let's get you involved from a Cannons perspective. What could be the biggest fix for them throughout the rest of the season this year?
Yeah, like Kev said, I don't know if there really is a fix that they're able to do that's going to really get them into championship contention or really be a team, that can push to go deep into the playoffs. I think, first off, the thing I see right away is they don't have an elite attackman who can kind of be a quarterback on offense. Obviously, Marcus Holman and Coulter Mackesy are unbelievable players, but, those guys are more of shooters and not ball-dominant players who are going to be the quarterback, taking it to X like a Michael Sowers or like you'll see with other attackmen in this league. So to me, I think the Cannons are really going to start thinking about regretting passing on Joey Spallina at number 2 in the draft as we move forward and as the years go on. This Boston team, they came off back-to-back Champ Series wins. Coming into 2025, they missed the playoffs last year. Now they've started 2026 1-3, and I think the bigger story too is they have an internal dilemma of what do they do with their star player and essentially the face of their franchise in Asher Knowlton. We all know now, we see the writing on the wall. He isn't good enough to be in the lineup week to week for the Cannons. That's a fact, and I think that causes some internal distraction to me too, and a bit of an awkwardness because of how much he's meant to the Cannons over these last couple of years. And Marcus Holman's getting up there in age. We don't know how much time he has left playing in the PLL. So to me, it feels like it's kind of time to turn the page and start fresh and build for 2027 and beyond. If you're the Cannons, it's kind of that chapter's closed, time to open another, and it's interesting to see what happens with the Cannons. Will Boston take the route that the Archers did before they ultimately went and won 2 PLL championships when they traded away Marcus Holman and Will Manny, and it benefited them? Will Brian Holman look to make a similar move? Because the current core of the Cannons star players, as we know it now and what it looks like right now, is coming to an end.
Bang. Journalism at its finest. James Hogan V on Twitter. Give him a follow. Dukes. I feel like this is a conversation you've popped in and out of in a couple seasons. We want to flash it back to you. The hot seat. Brian Holman. Is the seat hot?
Brian Holman is one of the best culture builders, in my opinion, in the PLL. You saw what he was able to create from an offensive perspective in the locker room after losing the most talented player arguably in the PLL in Lyle Thompson. He created one of the most efficient offenses the league's ever seen. I still believe in Brian Holman, the coach, who deeply loves and cares for his players, but that also can be a detriment to the team because then you're acting out as a GM emotionally. I think Brian Holman, the GM, should be fired yesterday. Brian Holman, the GM, needs to step down and allow a guy to make emotional moves before it may be too late to fix things completely. Look, I think a GM could kind of put on the hat at the end of last year and be like, we might have an Asher situation here. And what if Asher doesn't play the full season? Maybe Brian Holman thought that Asher would come to camp in better shape, but you're not seeing what he looks like in February. And then maybe you do draft someone like Joey Spallina. And I think that once is a mistake, twice is a coincidence. This is now we're seeing a pattern where you traded away Pat Cav because you believed in Asher because he was your guy, he's your MVP candidate. But then you just passed on Joey Spallina. And look, I think the jury's still out on Joey Spallina. I think he will be a great pro. I'm not here to say necessarily he's the best fit for the Cannons over even Mikey Weishauer. We saw 2 games. One of them was great. The other one was a good game. So I think the jury's still out on that whole argument. But I do think that they need a GM to evaluate those decisions without the emotional impact.
Kev, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think a GM would be the best thing to save Brian Holman's job. Hoagie, if you're talking about him just rebuilding right now for 2027, I mean, it's a little different because of the structure. But if I were a team owner, I would say, why would I want Brian Holman building for the future? For me, he can buy more years with this team by kind of advocating, hey, I need a GM. I need someone running this team because exactly what Duke says is, you separate the decision-making, the personnel decision-making from the bond you have with the player. So he can be that guy who's like, Asher, I believe in you till the bitter end, and then doesn't also have to be the guy like, oh, yeah, I'm benching you and we might have to trade you or something like that. You can have the bad guy in the front office who's doing that. So I think a GM would save Brian Holman's job.
Yeah, I definitely think the Cannons need a GM. Yeah, I think that would be a great move for Brian Holman just because of how much of a team builder he is and the relationship that he has with his players. And that's tough because you don't want to, you build such an emotional connection with these guys. You don't want to, upset someone if they're not good enough to play anymore. It's a tough thing to do, but that's the business we're in. And, I look at other coaches around the league who don't have GMs, like Jim Stagnita to me is great guy. Players love playing for him, but Stags is not afraid to say, look, you suck, I'm putting someone else in. He's able to have those tough conversations, and that's why the Whips have been so good and so consistent since the start of the PLL. They had a couple years, over the last couple years where maybe they weren't in championship contention, but look at the Whip Snakes again. They're towards the top of the league once again because Stags is not afraid to make those tough decisions, make those hard moments with the players, and that's what makes Jim Stagnita such a good coach. That's why he's the winningest coach in pro lacrosse history because he's willing to do that. And it's not a knock on Brian Holman. It's just that's great how he treats his players. It's great that he wants to always be there for them, but if he's going to have that kind of soft spot for his guys, he can't be the one, behind the scenes making those hard moves, because then he's thinking with his heart, not his head, and that's where you don't lead to success on the field.
He's also rebuilt this Cannons. I think people forget where the Cannons were before he kind of stepped in as the head coach.
Where were they? Remind them.
First season with even PR 99, they made the playoffs, but they were 3-6, and then they were 1-9 again with Lyle Thompson, who's an MVP candidate every year.
Should have been.
They played field. Comes back, they're 7-3 semifinalists, and people they went into that year with low expectations. I think people forget that. There was no expectations for the Cannons going into that year. They kind of thought they were building a washed-up roster for Brian Holman and all of Marcus's friends, and you got Matt Cav at the end of his career. So the narrative then was what is he doing? And he built every year was in contention before last year. So again, I give him the benefit of the doubt that he could do it again, but I think he's got to step down as GM.
I also too want to say not to say Champ Series doesn't matter, but I feel we were building a lot because they went back-to-back at Champ Series, expecting more out of them in the summer season. But they really haven't made deep runs in the summer season towards an actual championship. We've said they're quote-unquote contenders or maybe close to that, but to me in the summer, the Cannons haven't really showed up as of late and been a true team that can go win a championship.
Well, another team that hasn't shown up at all is the New York Atlas. PLO champs last year, and the Atlas are currently sitting at last place in the overall standings at 1-3. How can they turn it around, Kev? Give us some UNC status tips here.
They need your MVP to play like an MVP. Connor Schellenberger needs to be Superman for a full game. I think there were moments in this game, especially in the second half, where he flashed it, where you said, oh, this could be it. Connor Schellenberger is about to take over this game. The Atlas are about to come back and they're going to win it. Ultimately, I think he needs to look around in a game like the one we saw this weekend and see, okay, there's no Brian Costabile on the field. There's no Matt Traynor on the field. Matt Rambo is my new Jeff Teat. I've got rookies running around and Luke Roa and Hunter Druin. I got to be the man. So I'll give credit to Schellenberger where it's due. Had a big goal. Big assist. He did shoot the ball 7 times, which was a season high. I've been on him for his shot count.
Yes.
And they only lost the game by 1 point. So at the end of the day, you don't even need that much more Schellenberger, but he's got to be the guy to take it over the top. I think he needs to worry less about being an efficient playmaker and become more of a volume playmaker, or be like CJ Kirst, who's able to do both. But especially in a game like this past weekend, when you're being guarded by a rookie making his PLL debut, you got to welcome him to the league a little.
Kev, staying there for you. You say it's a volume game. It's just shots on net. You've obviously said in the past couple episodes that Connor Schellenberger is a great player. He's not shooting enough to help his team win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand the argument that, he shot the ball 7 times, only had 2 goals. So that brings down his shooting percentage. I don't think he's going into the game thinking, I need to keep my shooting percentage up near 50%. But I do think he's so high IQ that he knows the smart play, and he's always trying to make the smart play. But he's assuming that the other 5 guys on his offense are all understanding that play, and 2, capable of making that play. I'm not sure that's the case right now. He needs to sometimes take over, dodge for himself to score, and sometimes that results in turnovers. Sometimes that results in missed shots. Those are MVP stats sometimes in my mind, because that's a guy who's willing to go to the net a lot of times, put the team on his back. And you see CJ Kirst do it, for example, and maintain that efficiency. I think that's why he's special. Connor Schellenberger can be that player if he becomes more aggressive.
I think the weirdest thing about this past weekend was seeing Connor Schellenberger play alongside Matt Rambo, filling in for the lefty attack spot. It's pretty crazy to see. I remember seeing the graphic for the first time a couple days ago. I was like, okay, this is real. He scored a goal, had 2 assists. Do you think he's the answer for the Atlas without Jeff Teat, James Hogan V?
Hold on, Hoagie. You got to comment on the guy who is covering Schellenberger first,
we gotta give
then
a shout
answer
out
that.
to Cullen Brown, our former teammate, Ohio State Buckeye. He did a great job on Cullen, especially in the first half. I mean, a great job on Shelley, especially in the first half. He had a goal in this game. I said pre-draft or after the draft that he was the steal of the draft. This guy's a pro's pro. He's tailor-made for the PLL. He had a great debut this weekend. I'm really excited to see more Cullen Brown in the future because I think he's going to be a stud in this league, and he did a great job in his start. But going back to Matt Rambo, first of all, I want to give a shout-out to Matt Rambo, scoring his first goal in the PLL in 628 days. He's a friend of the program, so shout-out to Rambo for that. He performed, I think, much better than a lot of people really expected him to. I don't know I know a lot of people thought, oh, wow, Rambo signed up with the Atlas. It's great, but I don't know if anyone really expected him to do too much. And, he had a great day. He had 3 points on 1 goal and 2 assists, scored right off the bat to really start that game. You couldn't have scripted it any better if you were the PLL. But with that being said, I think he showed that he can be serviceable in this offense. And I think, we'll need to see this type of performance over multiple weeks before we get excited about it, because it was just one game. And, we'll see how he is down the line. He could have double donuts for the next 3 games, and this was just kind of that one game. But obviously he isn't the answer at lefty attack. I'm not going to overreact and say Matt Rambo is just going to fix this Atlas offense and, get them back to championship level. Nobody can replace really what Jeff Teat brings to this team and what he means to this team. But I think given the circumstances, if you can consistently get 3 points out of Rambo week to week, you're going to be excited about that if you're Mike Pressler. I think that's a big win. And, yeah, it might have just been 1 week thing with Rambo. He's productive, like I said, and he gets 0 points the rest of the way kind of thing. But if he can consistently do what he did Friday night, I think that's a win for the Atlas and a win for them moving forward given the circumstances. So I liked what I saw out of Rambo in the first game. I'm not going to sit here and say he's an all-star. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to change the whole team. But if he can consistently give you what he gave you on Friday night, I think that's all you can ask for if you're Mike Pressler and the Atlas given the circumstances.
Look, this could be the turnaround for him this season. And then ultimately he's going to segue that into next year's season and ultimately into 2028 Olympics. You guys heard me on the show first.
Yeah, he's going to get right on that Olympic team, Mitch. They're going to see him.
The minds could have switched. We could have changed his mind live on the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show. I'm just going to start it there. But, Kev, let's bounce back to you. Aside from Teat, defense is kind of taking a step back themselves.
Yeah, so the narrative is going to be the Atlas aren't the same team without Jeff Teat. While that is true, and shout out to Rambo for stepping in and doing his best, the defense isn't where it was last year either. Let's not forget they lost Gavin Adler in free agency. I know we've mentioned it a ton, but they also lost Michael Grace to injury this season. He hurt himself at the end of the NLL season, and he's out for the year. That was a guy who had 10 points out of the long stick midfield as a rookie last year. That's tough to replace. And Liam Entenmann, same story as always, is getting peppered. We talked about this a ton last year as well. He leads the PLL in saves right now with 60, but he's only saving about 54.1% of them, which is on pace for the worst of his career. So they're just leaving Liam Entenmann out to dry, similar to how the Cannons are with Colin Kirst. The only difference to me is like Liam Entenmann is that elite level who he can cover up for that a bit more when he's on his game, but it might be reaching the breaking point. One guy who does deserve a shout out on that defense, though, is Brett Makar. Just had the game of his life, and he leads the PLL with 10 caused turnovers. They need 4 more Brett Makars on that team.
Only if potentially next year Pressler.
I do want to know too. Everyone's saying sky's falling down. Kind of Atlas are last in the league right now. They're 1-3. I do want to say for all the struggle and all that stuff, they are 1-3. They did lose by 1 goal to the Redwoods without their 2 best midfielders. Brian Kotzebue and Matt Traynor didn't play. I do think that is something to note of like your 2 best midfielders not playing, losing by a goal. So we'll see. We could have been looking at the situation where they were playing where they're at 2-2 right now. We're having a totally different conversation.
Flipping out west to your Woods, Hoagie, Dukes, I want to get you involved in this question, though. Chris Cavanaugh and Ryder Garnsey, were back in the lineup for the Woods, but Michael Bames started at lefty attack in Garnsey's spot, had 4 points. Dukes, should Bame be the guy in California and be on that lefty side moving forward?
Yeah, 100%. He's got to be, right? I think that this is an interesting situation because I think Ryder Garnsey might be made of an example of. It's a guy that coaches college lacrosse, and he missed a few weeks of the season, and Mikey Bames stepped up in those moments. Ryder didn't necessarily do anything to lose that position, but I do think that Michael Bame earned it. You have to earn it every week, right? And I asked Twitter during the Knicks playoff games, shout out Kev behind, go Knicks, I said, who's the Jalen Brunson of lacrosse? And Terry Foy from Inside Lacrosse, he said it's going to be Mikey Bame in a couple of years. And I completely agree. We saw Bame come on the scene at Champ Series. He's continuing it into the season. I think him and Chris Cav are going to form a dangerous duo for the future. And again, if Ryder with his coaching and Father Time's not really on his side, Ryder, if he keeps coaching at Notre Dame and Notre Dame keeps making runs, you're going to lose your lefty starting attackman for the first 3 years, first 3 weeks every single year. So I don't know. I think Mikey Bame's obviously done a fantastic job this season, and I think he's completely earned the job.
Kev, bounce back to you. Talking about Bame, what does he do for Chris in that Woods offense?
Well, I think that Michael Boehm can do everything for the Redwoods that TJ Malone does for the Whipsnakes. They're both sound, fundamental lefties. They both kind of respond to what the defense is giving them as opposed to going out and taking it. If you leave him alone, he'll steal a couple buckets. If you put more pressure on him, he'll feed his way out of it. So Chris Kavanaugh is the complete opposite. He's an aggressive, slashing right-hander who takes what he wants. Boehm is that perfect counterbalance, if you ask me. He's not going to get in the way when Chris is hot, and he's going to fill the space when Chris is bottled up. So I kind of see a shifting situation with the Redwoods offense where last year you had three kind of ball-dominant attackmen. Now you have kind of Dylan Malloy receding into a secondary role, Boehm kind of filling that gap as a complementary third piece who's going to, I think, dominate and fill up the stat book in that gray area. And then Kavanaugh is poised to really own this offense in 2026. I'm expecting, we're talking year 2 leaps. I think he's going to be extraordinary this year.
Can't wait to
see
see
that. Do you think he
that.
could win MVP?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, Pat Cav was an MVP finalist last year, and he had the exact same amount of points as Chris Cav. The only reason I don't think Chris Cav was in the conversation was, one, he was a rookie. Two, Dylan Malloy kind of had so much of the spotlight in that offense. The way things are shaking out, that's not been the case this year. And like Ryder Garnsey, as much spotlight as he typically gets, he's taken a backseat, and I don't think Mikey Boehm, as many points as he's going to get, it's going to feel like TJ Malone points, where you look at the end of the season and he's like, what the heck? He had 33, 37 points, but it doesn't ever feel like he was the best player on the field. So I think Chris Kavanaugh is going to have those wow moments from start to finish. He had a few of them, a hat trick in the first game of the season for him. So I think Chris Kavanaugh could be in the MVP race, maybe the leader before too long.
Wow. And when you think of the Redwoods offense, Chris Kavanaugh is the first guy that pops in my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe stamp it in. Would you go back on your take right now if you could sub in Chris for CJ Kirst? Would you do it?
Me? No. I mean,
yes.
No. I mean, I think those are two great second-year players. A lot of season left. CJ's got a game on him, and he doesn't seem to be slowing down. I mean, CJ just seems to score every single game, no matter what. Doesn't matter how you defend him. He gets his. Doesn't really matter if the Waterdogs win or lose. Maybe Chris has that in him this year, but 6 goals is crazy. So I'm still sticking with CJ Kirst.
I have a hot take. I think if you restarted the league, everyone's off a team. I think CJ Kirst the first pick in the league.
And Chris Cav could maybe be second, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot
crazy
take.
To even think about. Yeah, I don't think that's hot.
We just bitch.
Yeah, that wasn't hot at all, actually.
Wasn't hot.
But I will say
that's
I do
good
think
then. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah. I do think the MVP.
That's not too bad for a guy who shouldn't have been playing attack, right, guys? Jake Taylor down there, remember?
All right. I'm not going down that road, but I never said that. I never said that.
Roll the
We're
clip.
not going down that rabbit hole. I do think that it will go to whoever has a better record. So Chris Cavs Redwoods have a better record than the Waterdogs. I just trust the Waterdogs too much. Like, it's to a fault. I just talk myself into them every single year.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
I do think it's crazy, too, though, talking about the Waterdogs, just because I felt like my narrative the last couple of years, my MVP pick this year was Michael Sowers, because to me it felt like each year he's been due, and he was either in the running for it or in the front running, and then either he got nicked up or they started losing and he kind of fell out of it. But this year it's weird. When I think of the Waterdogs, Sowers has been the guy on the team, but now it's kind of shifting towards CJ Kirst as being like that number one option on this Waterdogs team, which I think would be strange to look at. And if CJ Kirst does end up winning MVP, I'd look at it a little different, not differently, but like I kind of feel like Sowers has been like next up to get that MVP, and then all of a sudden his teammate Kirst comes in and just takes it.
Don't give up on your pick that easily. I know he's played more games, but Sowers leads the league with 14 points right now, so hang on to that while it's still hot.
I'm not giving up on it, but I think like Dukes and like you said with Malloy, like a lot of the narrative is like who is the guy like when I think of the Waterdogs right now. And
true.
I think right now 100% when you think of the Waterdogs, it's CJ Kirst. Not giving up on Sowers at all as my pick. He could do it in the end, but I do think that matters right now. When you're saying, all right, who's the Waterdogs MVP guy, I think 90% of people are not saying Sowers. They're going to say Kirst.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I do not think that I think Michael Sowers is more important to the Waterdogs than I think CJ Kirst is.
No, I'm not saying he's not that important. I'm more saying like I just think Kirst right now, like that's who you're thinking of in the Waterdogs, which is strange because Sowers has been that guy.
Been there.
And Sowers is that guy. Sowers is playing, like you said, Kev, leading the league in points, playing at as high of a level as anyone.
It's a strange to complex because I think that CJ Kirst is the most talented player in the league, like just from a pure attributes standpoint, goal scoring perspective. But what Michael Sowers brings to quarterback and offense, the Waterdogs wouldn't be the Waterdogs without him, and I think
Second
he's
to
irreplaceable.
None. Yeah, you can't take him off that team.
It's a weird splitting hairs moment for me. I was just going through mental gymnastics in my head.
Yeah, it messes with the mind, dude. So I'm saying I was trying to think of it, and I was like,
the Waterdogs mess with people's minds, man.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's
too bad they can't play the Cannons defense every week.
Bang! Kevin Boiler, Team Frog captain. Let's stay in the West, actually. After averaging less than 7 goals per game over the first 3 games, the Archers exploded for 15 in a blowout win over the Chaos. Mac O'Keefe tied a PLO record with 7 goals. How did they unlock him, Dukes?
Well, people forget that me and Mac O'Keefe were teammates growing up, so I know exactly what it takes to unlock him.
I actually saw Mr. O'Keefe last week, and he was asking about you.
Yeah, Mr. O'Keefe. Maybe he listened to the show. I know he used to. He used to be like, get a new mic. Your mic stinks. So I've taken his advice. You can never take your coach can never out-coach you. He'll always coach you through age. But yeah, I think what unlocked Mac more than anything, Mac's the best shooter that I've ever seen in my life. I know there's always talks about it, like Ryan Brown, I think a lot of people think it's him. He's the best shooter of all time. My pick's always going to be Mac O'Keefe. Got to go with the Long Island Cat. But I think it's the midfield, downfield action with their dodges. They were dodging with a purpose. Look at the way that Ambler was getting downfield. Trey LeClaire, okay? I think that Buckeye.
Trey LeFlair.
I think that he got injured last year, and people forgot how important he was to this offense. I know it was his second game, his first outing, he had 0 points. But if you asked those championship rosters, the offensive players, who's the most underrated player in your offense, I think every single player says Trey LeClaire. And we actually heard that from a lot of people after the 2024 championship game. So I think anytime you can get Trey LeClaire back in your lineup, it's going to open up things for your best players, especially a shooter like Mac O'Keefe. And I think that we've been alluding to this all year when Hoagie's like, why didn't you go after Joey Spallina? I think a lot, like Bates' mind is like, we have the pieces, it's just the health, and we just got to get the best player. So I think that the last 2 years, it's really just been the injury bug and getting guys like Trey LeClaire back to allow a shooter like Mac O'Keefe.
Let me double down on Trey LeClaire real quick.
Talk to us.
So I think we may be seeing potentially, I know it's just one game, but maybe the evolution of Trey LeClaire 2.0. He had 4 assists in this game. He only had 10 assists in the previous 5 seasons combined. Wow. All 4 of those assists were to Mac O'Keefe, including one sick, one-handed dish up near the 2-point line. And Zach Carey points out to me, he was looking at the starting lineup at attack. I think that's also a second part of the equation is the configuration of that offense. And they were switching Ryan Steins and Sam King by quarter. And the offense was running better when Ryan Steins was playing attack. But the reason for that was because Sam King was getting the pole a lot when he was running from the midfield, which allowed Trey LeClaire to work against some midfielders, some short stick midfielders. And the key to the success, as Dukes points out, was definitely those downhill dodges, fast, out of the box, taking advantage of the sub game. We've heard about Chris Bates' experiment with the short stick defensive midfielders. It's not going to work unless they are fast, scoring an early offense and taking advantage of the sub game. And we know O'Keefe in particular, also starting him at attack is also probably a big piece of this. But he's a guy who needs the ball fed to him from a hot hand. He's not an unassisted goals kind of guy. He's a backside of the formation, rip it kind of guy. And with Ament, who's been his guy since Penn State, out, Schreiber hurt, one of the best passers in midfielder history, also out, the guy's got to be Trey LeClaire. He can't be in the shadow of those 2 other guys anymore.
Trey LeFlair, Hoagie and I know him very well. 2 years with the Buckeye himself. He actually took off Hoagie's finger. That's a story for another day. But Hoagie, let's stick with you. And the Archers, obviously, 15 goals on Friday night. They also have the best defense in the league, backstopped by Brett Dobson, who we will obviously hear from later, who leads the league in the PLO for save percentages. Do you think Chris Bates' 4 short stick D-midi approach is working?
I mean, I think it's just like anything in this league. You can't overreact to 1 week. You got to see how things shape out before you can really confidently have an opinion on something. We see something works 1 week and then it doesn't the next, so you can't really overreact. And I think right now, before you can confidently say this 4 short stick D-midi approach is working and effective, I think You need to see it over multiple weeks. I mean, coming into this game, the Archers had 20 goals combined in their first 3 games coming into this game. And they scored 15 goals just in one game on Friday. And Mac O'Keefe, you touched on, had a career day with 7 goals. But you aren't going to get that type of play every single week, and you can't expect that kind of play to have a career day, PLL goals record type level day, week to week. I think O'Keefe had 12 shots on the season coming into that game on Friday, combined in the first 3 games. He had 12 shots alone in that game on Friday, which I also found very interesting. And, Bo Pedersen had that lone point for that short stick D-midi unit. He had a goal in the game, but I think Utah's midfield did a good job in the sets to get O'Keefe good looks and opportunities. But I think it's too early to me to really judge the impact of this 4 short stick D-midi approach. I think I need to see it done in more than just one game, and I need to have a larger sample size before I can truthfully say that this is an approach that's effective and works in the PLL week after week.
Kev.
I think it's fair to still ask, just because the Archers blew up on offense for 1 week and Mac O'Keefe had a career day, they still were terrible on offense for 3 of their 4 games so far this year. So it's going to be a question for the rest of the season. Was Aidan McGuire worth the number 1 overall pick? I don't think this one game changes that. He hasn't made really much of an impact on offense yet. 0 points so far. We've seen Bo Pedersen and Piper Bond both put the ball in the back of the net. So it's not like the experiment's not working altogether. And on the defensive end, although it's only been 2 games, we haven't really seen a notable performance from McGuire yet. 0 caused turnovers, 4 ground balls. His best highlight is a penalty where he tossed Joey Spallina with a crowbar. And unfortunately, because he's the number 1 overall pick, we've never seen a short stick defensive midfielder under this much of a microscope. If a guy scores on a shorty, normally you're just look at it, it's a regular highlight going to the commercial break. Instead, with Aidan McGuire, you notice it when he gets taken to the rack by a Shane Knobloch or a Chad Palumbo. So to me, for McGuire to really be ever worth that number 1 pick, he needs to be the Ryan Tarafanko of this team. He can't just be a Danny Logan. He needs to be the guy who's a menace in the middle of the field. He needs to be cheating on the clear, getting out early, getting the ball down the field, finishing fast breaks, sparking offense. Again, it's only been 2 games, so I'm not writing the book on Aidan McGuire just yet, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the moment that's like, oh, this is why he was worth the number 1 pick. And it makes it especially tough when everyone's noticing the times where he gets beat.
I think it's a part of the short stick D-midi position, though. Like you said, under the microscope. We're not going to talk about the times that he stands someone else and they don't even challenge him, right?
Right.
I think that short stick D-midis that come from college, like we talk about the rookie transitions, from the attack perspective, how easy the transition could be because you're sharp with the stick. I was just trying to find my words there. Bang.
Dayton.
But I think that when you look like Carter Rice last year coming from Syracuse, I remember thinking that it was so hard for him to transition because of the field. And I wonder if that's hurting McGuire at all. You're used to this bigger field in college, so when guys cross midfield, I think it messes up with their perception of like where they are in the field. And I think it's going to take some time for Aidan McGuire to kind of get used to the field length. That's just something that I'm kind of testing out in the last 2 years.
Hoagie, do you agree with that?
On the field length?
From the short stick D-midi perspective.
I mean, yeah, like, we never played Mitch on a shorter field like that, so it's hard to really tell like what it actually feels like. But I do think that field does make a difference, dude. I actually think that's a great point. It's a little different than what you're used to on the shorter field. I think also too, like a lot of the guys when you're playing some of the other rookies like Chad Palumbo and Josh Yago and those guys who are natural attackmen who are forced to play midi right out of their career just because the attack spots are so open. I think those guys like Chad Palumbo haven't seen a short stick in 2-3 years. They're coming out of the box and they're salivating at the mouth, ready to see a short stick picking them up. So yeah. I do think that matters a little bit too.
Yeah, I would think that the shorter field would help them from an offensive perspective. From the defensive perspective, totally. I don't know if it's so much of the shorter field or knowing that, like, yeah, Shane Knobloch can score from there. Like, he's in range as soon as he's coming out of his break. Like, you got to get hands on him.
That's kind of my point. Like, exactly how we talk about, like, when he crosses the midfield line, like, you're a threat. Like, Jared Newman takes, like, 7 steps, and it's like, okay, he could shoot it from 20 yards out. So Aidan McGuire, like, when he's backpedaling, it's like, where am I on the field? Who's a threat in this league? From how far out? So I do think it takes a little bit of time. But I don't know. He hasn't been a net negative by any means, nor has he been necessarily positive. But I do agree with you 100%, Kev. One of the things that I love the McGuire pick for is for what Bo Pedersen can do in the transition game. So I think that's something I want to see out of McGuire more than even the defensive side.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can be the best defensive midfielder in terms of just his defense. People will still say he wasn't worth the number 1 overall pick unless he becomes an elite offensive player. In transition. Yeah, like a Tarasenko.
Mitch, I want a theme here. A lot of Buckeyes being mentioned. Terry, Trey LeClaire.
James Hogan, Mitch Pehlke.
Totally,
Buckeyes run the PLL right now. I mean,
100%. Which makes you think if they had a coach that could win one playoff game, what happened?
You can't tee
Why have
this guy up.
They haven't won.
You guys walked right into that one.
You guys walked right into that.
It was sad. One team we haven't talked about though. Chaos, baby.
Shout out the Reaper, by the way. Michael Harrison, the drummer, the Red Legion. I mean, those guys were gassed.
That's actually one city and venue I want to go to when the league's there.
I want to go to Charlotte,
it does look
Mitch.
sick.
I got to get a picture with the Reaper.
Sick.
Mitch, you got a frog with the Reaper.
We're frogging with the Reaper. Me, you, Tierney, if you didn't diss me, and the Reaper.
Kai the
all hitting
goalie.
The frog. Kai the goalie.
AP's in Charlotte, too.
Yeah.
Or North Carolina, yeah.
But after losing to the Archers, the Chaos bounced back and beat the Outlaws 12-11. How did they erase the 5-1 deficit early in the first, Kev?
Well, it wasn't all Chad Palumbo, but that guy is a walking juice play. Whether it's a clutch goal, unexpected BTB assist, or really anytime he just opens his mouth to speak, it's just automatic, pure energy funneling through my TV into my body. I can't imagine what it does to his teammates on the sideline. But this week, it was a huge ground ball late in quarter 2. He caused a turnover on the ride. Logan McNaney was going for that clear on that deep ball. Kind of mucked it up, scrapped for it on the ground for a minute, beat 2 Outlaws for the ball, held onto it just long enough for the timeout. It was exactly like the one in the national championship. And then he gets the interview with Dana Boyle after, and he has the awesome answer. He's like, yeah, I've had way sicker ground balls. Don't worry about it. Awesome moment. And then right after that, Shane Knobloch scores to put them up 2. Chaos go into the locker room up 7-5 at halftime instead of potentially tied 6-6. That's huge for momentum. So besides the ground ball, though, Palumbo also had his first career hat trick versus Denver. And if I'm a defensive coach, I'm looking at the Chaos and I'm wondering, how do I defend this Chaos midfield? Chad Palumbo, so far, there hasn't been a short stick in the league who can guard him. Shane Knobloch is probably the most dangerous two-handed shooter from the midfield right now. We saw what happens him against a short stick at Champ Series, just wins a golden stick. And then you got Ross Scott, is that third midfielder. He's got the quickest feet in the league right now, probably. So it might be time to double pull the midfield if you're a team trying to stop the Chaos. And if that's the case, someone like Nick Turner Hiltz, whoever you pull that pull off, is going to feast. Good to be Stephen Brooks right now.
I mean, Blaze Reardon, too, was awesome in this game. 14 saves, 58% on the day, including 2 clutch stops late in the fourth quarter. So, Blaze is always going to perform in front of the home crowd there. He had the, most saves in PLL history, set that record there last year in front of the home crowd. So, yeah, I mean, I like this Chaos team. They're sitting atop the West right now. I know Friday was a tough game and, can't overlook what happened there, but to bounce back Saturday against the Outlaws, who I think a lot of people coming into this weekend thought the Outlaws might be the best team in the PLL at the moment, to come in, get that win, sit atop the West at 3-2, heading into the PLL bye week is big for the Chaos. I love what this team's doing.
That was so Blaze, too, to have kind of the rough outing against the Archers, get shelled a little bit, let Mac O'Keefe go 7 deep on you, and, let him tie the PLL record and then come back a day later and just be absolute lockdown, which is, if you remember last year, I think he was a little banged up to start the season, had some rough games. We were maybe saying, oh, Blaze, I think it was another podcast, maybe called him out for a LASIK operation. And then what did he do? The next game in Charlotte against Denver, set the PLL saves record in a single game. So he tends to bring out his best on that field against that team.
Yeah.
You guys see that photo of Palumbo with the Reaper and everyone, too? That might be photo of the year
Reaper
so
mask
far.
on?
You see that, Mitch?
It's so funny.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I think it's photo of the year in the PLL. Go on Twitter. It was trending.
Twitter.
Palumbo, after the game, Mitch, goes in the stands with the drummer and the Reaper, and he puts the Reaper mask on. He takes.
Do you know the Reaper, Mitch?
Yeah, I've seen the Reaper for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Is the Reaper the biggest fan in the PLL?
He's the most notable fan in the PLL for sure.
Yeah, but there's also there's some big fans out.
What about JoJo
Utah?
Wardrummer in Denver?
JoJo, yeah.
That's who I thought.
JoJo
Probably.
Wardrummer?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We need more super fans for sure.
The Reaper's a legend. I saw he gave away his game-used jersey from last year to a young fan.
I saw that too. Yeah, the kid became a fan of Carolina. He was like from Pittsburgh.
He's a reaper. He's a reaper for Halloween. Young reaper.
PR said it. Pass the stick forward. Pass the Reaper jersey forward. That's what it's all about. I can't wait to just
I need
have
Reaper
Dukes
frog
pass
merch
me his
next year.
Dayton jersey to me.
Dude, let's get the Dayton jersey behind you next episode. How about that?
Can we do that? Can we replace my jersey for your jersey?
Let's do a jersey swap. Give me your jersey. I'll put it right here.
Swap. I like it. Well, we just talked about some legends. Another legend in the league, Brennan O'Neill. 2-2 this year for the Outlaws. He's not having a great year. Currently sitting at 9% shooting this overall year. What do they need to do to ultimately find their groove again, Dukes?
I think it's just a matter of time until this offense gets going, honestly. They had a slow start last year. The offense didn't have a training camp together. And we haven't had all the Tewaratons play in the same game yet. Brendan O'Neill's shooting slump, it's very notable, but he's also has 32 shots this year. And Kev, you like the saying shoot or shoot. We've been talking about it earlier in the episode with Shelly. So I just have trouble believing that Brendan O'Neill, with how good of a shooter he is going to shoot 9% for the entire season. So I'm not concerned. I think they ran into Blaze in a comeback spot. Like Kev said, they again haven't had a training camp together. There's been no continuity to this offense. And look, I'd rather them, like, if you told me they barely got into the playoffs, but they were finding their groove, like, that's a talented team that if they're playing ball at the right time, like, no one will want to play them. So I think it's just a matter of time. It's a when, not an if for me, when the offense gets going.
The Outlaws started slow last year, too, if you guys remember.
Yes.
And they picked up steam late in the second half of the year.
Yeah. I have no concerns about them. I mean, they definitely have a reliance at this point on transition offense. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're at their best when Logan McNaney's making the clean saves, quick outlets, Jake Pacino, Ryan Terafenko running wild in the middle of the field, and the attack is finishing fast breaks. That's what the whole Atlas game looked like the week before, and the first quarter of the Chaos game. They looked like world beaters. They looked like the best team in the league. So the key to beating them, or at least that current configuration, the one we saw this past weekend, was to bog it down and make them play 6-on-6 offense and defense, which it changes when Jared Bernhardt's back in the lineup, because whether he's playing midfield or attack, he's their best party starter. And one note on O'Neill, even though he is in the shooting slump, I think this is crazy. He's still second in the league in assists with 7. Only he's 2 off the league lead for points. He's got 12 points, and he's one of only 5 players with multiple 2-pointers. So even though he's shooting 3 for 32, hardly anyone in the league has more points than him. I think once those shots start falling, he's generating good looks. He's going to be right back in the MVP conversation.
I like it, Kev. Let's
get a little more magic dust. We got to get some bottles of that thing.
Yeah, he needs to maybe drink it.
does need a drink. Dukes, how was your weekend, by the way? What did you do this weekend?
Just casual, low-key weekend.
What were any baby showers? What was it? Bar mitzvahs you went to a couple weeks ago? Baptisms?
Baptism. We had a bachelor party this weekend. You know, I had to hook up the
Where was that thing located?
Where were we? Holy shoot. My brain's not working as well as it usually does. We were in Indiana, northern Indiana.
Wow,
Michigan
what's
City.
it like to be in northern Indiana?
Notre Dame territory.
Right on Lake Michigan. Right near where the Chicago Bears are about to play their football in the fall in a couple of years.
Hammond, Indiana.
Michigan City, Indiana. Had some MPLS fans come up to me in the casino.
Really? What'd they say?
They were just like, big fan of the show. I was like, it has to be
Wow. That's massive. That's massive. How does that make you feel? Do you get nervous when people come up to you?
No, I don't. I get nervous when people see me losing my money gambling. I'm like, stop talking to me. I'm losing.
Yeah, I like that.
Kev
Let's close that little PLL.
Mitch, Kev had a fan the other day. You weren't on the pre-pro call on Friday. Kev had a fan at South Carolina.
Yeah, in Greenville, South Carolina. I had a young fan come up to me and say, "Are you the guy from the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show?"
Let's go.
I said, "Yes, I am. I'm the ball knower."
And
pleased to meet you.
That was it, or what'd you say? You get a pic?
He said, "Where's the frog? I want a picture with the big frog." I say he doesn't travel with me.
Did you tell him you're actually the guy inside the mascot?
No. I've said I'm the picture taker.
I think my favorite thing though on this topic really quick is when someone comes up to me and they're like, "Where's Mitch?" It's like, I don't know, man. Like, look at his Instagram story. You'll probably get a good idea where he is. Or how do you think I
keeper?
He's eating oysters with Duncan Barnes.
Yeah, that was heinous. That was
so size of your hand. What was that bitch, by the way?
It was an oyster, and I've never seen an oyster that long. I was like, all right, you have to do this thing in one bite. Took a little convincing, and I just know his boys screenshotted that when it was, going down. Yeah. So let's close out the PLL and hop into a little WLL Dub of the week. Obviously, WLL action this past weekend. The California Palms beat the Boston Guard in a back-and-forth thriller on Saturday. I'm giving my WLL Dub of the week to Charlotte North. Scored 6 points before going down with a non-contact lower body injury in the late fourth. We're obviously best wishes up to her and her family. She's obviously one of the GOATs. But Kev, who are you giving your WLL Dub of the week to?
I got to go with Ali Mastriani, the all-around midfielder for the Palms. Last week, picture this. She goes 0 for 7 shooting in an overtime loss to the Charm. She's probably not sleeping that whole week. If I could have just gotten one of those 7 shots to fall, we win. This is a short season. This is a shorter season. It's only 4 games, so every game really matters. And you just lost a thriller in overtime to the Charm. You're probably thinking about all those shots. Well, this week she had a chance for redemption. What'd she do? She lived up to it. Led the Palms with 4 goals and an assist. Won a couple draws against Maddie Epke, who was amazing for the Boston Guard in her first game out of Northwestern. And then she scooped up a couple ground balls as well. Also, great sportsmanship moment. Mitch, love the shout out for Charlotte. But that injury occurred away from the play. The Boston Guard scored a goal, and they were kind of all celebrating together. And the only person who was kind of near Charlotte when it happened was Allie. And Allie kind of helped her up and hugged her in that moment. Very emotional moment. Honestly, Charlotte was mic'd up for it. It was kind of hard to listen to. But kind of a bigger than the game moment where, yes, it's a WLL. The Guard have never beaten the Palms in Champ Series or the summer season for that matter. We're trying to build new rivalries. And in this moment, these 2 Team USA teammates were kind of able to come together, realize this was a tragic injury, and so just wanted to give Allie a shout out for that sportsmanship and that moment of being just an awesome person.
It was also an unbelievable game, back and forth, tons of lean changes, totally the whole second half, both the Palms and the Guard just going blow for blow in the second half. So
just saying, the awesome WLL games have been way more competitive than the PLL games so far this year.
Yeah, that's one thing with the PLL this year that I have not seen in years past. I always praise the PLL for like every single game being a 1-goal game, and this is the least amount of 1 goal. And we've probably had like 1 or 2 this weekend. I'm like, this is the least amount that I remember in a long time. The WLL is killing it. Every game has been electric.
100%. It's tough to see Charlotte obviously go down, but hope for her in a speedy recovery with what her final injury is. But something you guys can get involved in us is PLL Fantasy, baby. Download the PLL app, play a little fantasy with us. On the guys' side, we're picking our lineups each week. You can play against us and obviously more people in the league. Start your own league inside the app. The standings right now aren't looking hot. If you guys didn't tune into last episode, the Italian forgot to set his roster. And I set my roster 3 days before we actually could. And at the end of the day, that's what kind of bite me in the butt. But I'm not far off Dukes, I'll be honest. The first place right now is Kev with, let's say, 680.
It's a long season, Mitch.
650.
You don't do decimals?
Dukes, I don't do decimals. I'm a sport industry
I'm not
major.
surprised.
Dukes with 505 and Mitch Pehlke with 445. I'm lurking, Dukes. I think I beat you by, 50 points?
Yeah, who's setting your lineups for you?
No, that's right here.
Is that Carey setting his lineups?
Right here.
Very sus. We can't have the name of the show be in last place. I'm just very sussed out. I think we got some behind the scenes things going on. I won't believe the comeback. I think it'll always have an asterisk even if you do come back. I got my eyes on you, Pehlke.
Does anyone be like, oh, Mitchell, great picks, Kev?
I think we all had CJ Kirst in our lineup except for maybe Dukes this week. I would recommend everyone starting CJ Kirst next week in your league. Also, got to give a shout out quick to Dukes on the Pick'em. Perfect 5-0, I believe. Only one who rode with the Archers this week. So congrats to Dukes on a perfect week.
Thanks, KB. Real friend over here.
Yeah,
Mitch,
congrats. Yeah, congrats. I'm really glad you went to the baptism. I think that's great for you as a family man. Just want
Mitch
to say.
has got the Michigan National Championship asterisk on his fantasy lineup.
You know, some people were drinking beers, with hanging out with the friends, watching PLL action, WLL action. Meanwhile, Mitch is eating oysters, watching PLL fantasy lineups, cheating. Let's move on to the next segment.
Let's move on to the next segment, but the next segment is actually a word from our sponsor, Duke Cannon. Duke Cannon makes high-quality grooming goods that keep you dialed in. At work, at the gym, at the field, whether you're grinding through the day or running to your late-night lacrosse league, their products are built to keep up. Use code PLL2026 at DukeCannon.com for 15% off your order. Or find Duke Cannon grooming goods at Target, Walmart, or even on Amazon. Big shout out to Duke Cannon. They've been hooking the boys up all season long. But now for something a little bit different, we're popping to college lacrosse as the season's ended, but some new news has just hit the market on some potential rule changes. Let's go down one by one with our overall thoughts here. The first is expanding replay review.
Thank goodness.
Under these new rules, coaches will now have the ability to challenge offsides, too many men on the field, and whether a player stepped out of bounds or not. Kev, I'm going to let you start off, but before, I am not in favor of this at all.
Wow. I'm winning people over one by one. Dukes, I saw you tweet it a couple of weeks ago as well, I think during the national championship. Don't know if it was tongue-in-cheek or not, but I will win each one of you over by the end of eternity. And hey, don't miss you miss a part of it, Mitch. Officials can also now review potential head and neck contact without ever having originally thrown a flag. So how awesome is that? They don't even have to throw a flag. They can just stop the game now and look at every hit and see if someone got hit in the head or neck, and then I guess magically unconcuss the player by calling the right play after the fact. So I think that's awesome that we're slowing the fastest game on 2 feet down even further for more replay reviews.
Is this totally screwing the slogan that we've been building for decades?
I'm anti-replay review. I'll leave it at that. I know the other guys probably have their thoughts, so I'll let them talk.
But one last point. I was for it when the whole Ledman, Matty Palem. But now I'm like retracting. I'm regretting saying that. I think what you said forever, Kev, is that's what makes sports, is in the moment. You got to make that call, and you got to live with it.
That's
and
right.
Penn State's not in the championship because of that call, but at the end of the day, that's sports. And I know Hoagie disagrees about this. We've had
every
plenty
other
of
sport
conversations
has
off the
replay.
camera.
NFL, MLB,
yeah, and it
NBA.
stinks in every other sport. But go ahead, keep going.
When the moment comes down to it, it sucks to have your whole career taken away because of a missed call that could have been avoided. Imagine if you were a Penn State player in that locker room as a fifth-year senior. You've worked your whole life to get to a championship, and your career's over, bang, because of a missed call, Mitch, that could have taken 2 seconds to review. So, look, to me, I agree. I don't want the unnecessary stoppages. I think that could happen a little bit with the offsides and the too many men, where could slow the game down. But I do think, at least in the NCAA tournament, you have to have all these replay. And I think even if you didn't want it in during the regular season, fine. But plays like out of bounds and stuff like that Billy Juan play, to me, in the biggest stage in a quarterfinal game, like that has to be something that has to be reviewed. And if you want to add some extra layer onto it, like the NHL does, I don't know if anyone's familiar with that rule. If you make a challenge and you're wrong, the other team actually gets a man-up penalty out of it. So it prevents teams from just throwing a challenge like that. If you want to do that on a play where coaches are, so they don't challenge a too many men on the field or an offsides call, that I think is a little tongue-in-cheek to slow the game down. Oh, I'm throwing a check. They had too many guys on the clear.
I can't even imagine going and watching a lacrosse game and there's like stoppage. Like imagine there's no flag on the field, but the ref just blows his whistle and wants to replay a call, or a hit. Kev.
But every sport has replay. So, hurting. I get it, and I don't want it to stop the game, but, to me, in the biggest moments, at least in the NCAA tournament, this has to be in because I really do think, that Billy Juan play leads to a juice goal in a tie game in the Syracuse game. So it's you have to be able to go back and look at these plays in the biggest moments.
I think you both make fair points. I think, one, if you're going to have reviews, it's just got to be sped up. There's just these calls that are so obvious that take 5 minutes.
We need a pitch count for reviews for the refs.
I think the problem is,
just have a ref that's in the booth in Chicago or something, or New York, and just, get it over with. It's gotta
Just
be
Well, that's the problem. We
Booker-
don't have like the NFL to
Booker
replay
Corrigan
assist.
stay
Hoagie-
in the replay booth.
Yeah, we need Booker Corrigan as a permanent review man. Yeah. Great
Pin
call
this
back,
conversation for next February when we're talking about a game where a goal got overturned and it was on a ESPN Plus stream. No offense to ESPN Plus, but one camera angle and they're looking at something where like no one could even see it. And also look at the women's championship game. Did the replay review really make it any better? It didn't. They don't even get it right some of the times.
I
just think it's
rule.
just. I do too. It's just we're now getting to a point where we're reviewing hits that aren't thrown flags. It's like we're overdoing
that's-
it. Like
yeah.
there's one thing,
That's
did
over
he
the
step
line.
in the crease? There's one thing where it's like, did he step in the crease? Okay, let's see if he stepped in the crease. But now it's like a slippery slope, and this is a little bit too far.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dukes, let me pin it back on you. If you're Coach Myers or Coach Corrigan, now with these new rules, are you telling your players to do anything differently? Like, I think from the coaching perspective, I maybe am telling my defenders to play defense a little bit differently now.
Why?
Yeah,
Well, I just think like if some guy's coming across crease, like I might not be sliding with body because that
yeah.
could change the alter of the game.
It's
I mean,
been a
always
penalty
been
forever.
Like that.
It's
Anytime you clean
always
someone, they're always going to call it.
it's been
Well,
a
do you
penalty
get-
forever.
Do you get? This is the one question I have. Are we saying there's now like targeting coming to lacrosse, where like if it's head to head, you're thrown out of the game?
No, that's not what they're saying.
That could be in 2027's rule
If
changes.
that happens, I retire.
No,
Some
don't say that.
The only side I'm on
Don't
with
say that.
Kev
It could be
on this
really real.
It's coming.
about the replay.
All right,
want the
I didn't mean
replay.
that.
The only side I'm on with Kev on the no replay thing is I want replay, but we're not at the level in college lacrosse, like you said, Kev, with the ESPN Plus streams where, like an NFL game, you have every single angle. You got the pylon cam, you got the overhead cam, you got the sideline cam, the ref cam. A lot of the times, a lot of these regular season games, we literally just have the singular cam. So how can we review half the stuff when we don't have the angles? I do think, though, in the NCAA tournament, we should be able to have these rules at the least. And I think we need a replay assist guy, kind of like you see in the other sports where, hey, if it's that obvious, rather than have the ref have to go all the way to the scores table, put the headset on and look,
Yeah,
if it's
just
something that can
ask
be done
Tillman
in 2
for the
seconds,
iPad and
go.
call
it
He challenged offsides.
But also,
he was
too, to,
offsides,
like,
fix it.
Hoagie, like you help me out here. Like, we're talking Ivy League. We're talking Big Ten Plus stream. We're talking ESPN Plus, whatever it's called. What does like the MAC have? Like, do they even have the ability to do?
They're on
replay?
ESPN Plus.
ESPN
Oh,
Plus.
ESPN Plus. Okay.
You just told on yourself that you never haven't watched a MAC game.
Yeah, I have.
So,
it.
Hoagie,
I'll be
all
honest.
those times-
It's actually Metro now. It's the Metro Conference.
It's the Metro.
Watch
I've
some
been to
good
one
MAC
MAC game in my life, and it was Mount St. Mary's versus Iona. It was 1:00 on a Wednesday.
Wow.
And
so
I stayed
you
for
didn't
the
watch
first
any of your
quarter.
best friend's games when he played at Manhattan?
Mitch came to my game. You came to my game.
I came to a
VMI.
game.
Yeah.
And
Didn't watch Hoagie on stream one time.
He was taking pictures.
no, no. I'll be honest. Like,
Too,
I'm not
he's
lying
too
to my
busy
voice.
eating oysters.
Wednesday Maction was awesome, by the way. When mid-season, when there's a game on 4:00 on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah.
God, I
Jay
love
Alter
it.
and Jules Hennenberg on the call.
Yep.
Oh,
They called our MAC
just-
championship legends.
Just great. I think some other rules that we haven't talked about yet, kind of like in the PLL, the ball color change could be potential here of that yellow that the women's use, or kind of like the fluorescent green that the league uses. It would obviously be recommended change for 27 before it's obviously required in 28. Hoagie, do you like the ball change?
I like the ball change. I don't really mind what the ball is. I like the green ball, actually, that the PLL has a lot. I think it looks good. With the black net, the green ball and the black net that the PLL uses, and I know a lot of teams in the college game have started to use black nets. We've seen that as a trend as of late. I heard that might be a rule, too, that down the line gets into effect of teams having black nets. Not sure what the exact reason is for that, but if you've noticed, Penn State, Ohio State, a lot of teams are trending towards black nets. So I kind of like the green ball. I'm good with it. The white ball is nostalgic. That's kind of what we've always had. That's what I always remember, but yeah, I'm here for the green ball. The color balls are coming in lacrosse nowadays. They have been for the last couple of years in the program, and yeah, it looks like they're coming to college now too.
Yeah, I think it's better on television, but rest in peace to the Pearl.
The what?
You know?
Iconic.
Yeah, the big
Iconic.
one. I mean, I think that's
Not
honestly
the brand.
something too. Like,
They're fine.
when Hoagie and I were playing inside the shoe at Ohio State, and even sometimes like the lacrosse stadium, that's one thing our buddies would complain about playing against us was the bleachers would kind of blind the balls out. Like talking to Logan McNaney when Maryland would come play us, that sort of aspect. So I'm a big fan of this, but I think this rule could potentially be the one that I don't like the most. So obviously when teams 10-man ride, the opportunity for the goalie to be out, the long shot from the defender to score is always there. But now they're trying to switch up the rules in the way where a defender, if he shoots it, the only way it counts as a shot is if it goes in or hits the pipe. I don't like that at all.
Why?
I don't like that
Mitch, teams
at
have
all.
been abusing this rule for years. They're not even trying to shoot. They just huck it down the field.
I think it's gamesmanship. I think it's strategy. You have a call. Like, I like that. You know, if Gary Gates says something, then Billy Dwan just has to huck it, and that also means Spallina knows
that's
it's
not a
dive
shot.
for it. I like that.
The whole point is you're supposed to shoot at the net, not huck it 20 yards to the right in the air. That's not a shot.
I see where you're coming from. I think there's probably no way to meet in the middle.
What's the difference between doing that or doing that on offense, too? Hucking the ball 30 yards over the net when it was supposed to be a pass, but claiming it was a shot.
I mean, again, I think that's going to be hard for a ref to kind of figure out the middle ground here, but I like that aspect. Like, you know, how many times is that going to happen where it's not going to hit the pipe and it's going to be so close, but then it's going to be the other team's ball because of this new rule in effect? Dukes
I like
or
that.
Kev?
Clear the ball.
My problem with it is it takes away some of the risk of running the 10-man ride. The whole point of the 10-man ride is to take a risk and to leave the net open. I mean, I do agree that it's a problem with the teams just throwing the ball down the field, but what's going to happen as a result of this is you're going to have more teams running a 10-man ride. You're going to have more failed clears, and you're going to have more turnovers and less offense. And I don't think that's really what they want at the end. This is a wild proposal, but you got to put some of the risk back in. So if they score from beyond their own restraining line, make them worth 2.
I like that. I love that, actually.
Do you think next year's set of rules we could see a 2-point line in college?
No, I don't think it'll ever happen.
No.
Dukes?
Give me the 2-point line. I'm always going to be
Yes!
Yeah,
you don't think it'll ever happen at the college level? You really don't think so, Kev?
No, I don't. I don't think it'll ever happen.
Why?
At the
Like,
college level.
you just is it a feel thing, or you just give me your reasoning?
I just don't. I mean, it's not like it's a new thing. The 2-point line has been around since 2001 when the MLL first broke it out. So if it's made it 25 years without it, I don't think they're in a crunch to add it. Also, like, one little pet peeve with the 2-point line is like stats. Like when you talk about, oh, they lost by this many goals, well, or they scored this many goals, or if a goalie let in a certain number of goals, but the points don't add up to the goals. Not that that's a reason not to ever have it, but I don't know. The only reason I would like it is if they did my proposal and they named it after me.
I'm maybe the biggest proponent of the 2-point line ever.
Yes.
I would love
more
to have
fun.
it. I would love to have it in college. That'd be sick.
I just think
Is
that,
this
like,
Kev just being unk status here and like being
No,
like,
I think a lot of people.
You were
a lot
with
of
me
people
on the
feel this
replay, Mitch. Come on.
I was.
A lot of
but I
people
think the
don't
2-point
want the
line would be
2-point
fun.
line. A lot of people don't like it.
Why?
I
though?
think
I love it. What?
I think it adds another perspective
Why
of
are
like a
people
specialist.
against it? You think?
I just think that people are stuck in, like, they grew up a certain way.
Yes,
They like
the
the game they
boomer
played.
mentality.
I just think people can be stubborn a little bit. I think that, like, it would be fun to see, like, a 2-point specialist, like, who just
Dukes,
comes
if
in
the 2-point
for
line
attack.
was in play when you were playing, would that have made you a better or worse player?
The 2-point line.
Yes.
That was not my game.
I think LSM wise, I was definitely an offensive LSM. I definitely pushed it, so I think it would help me.
Yeah,
What about you?
I don't know. That would.
You'd be hitting singles.
A worse game. That would make me a
Mitch would
worse
never shoot
player.
a 2-point.
I think it was opposite 2-point guy my
Mitch does not
entire
have enough
life.
speed on his shot. That'd be muffin up and out. Logan McNeely clean save style.
Remember, Hoagie, 10 shots on Logan McNaney from the 2-point line. Do you think you're scoring more than me?
I mean,
stop it right now.
I mean,
stop it.
Who wins
Stop
8-meter
it.
every time we play? I can't.
Stop.
Who against
That's
the
criminal.
top goalies in college? Who's ready?
You know which one
8-meter?
thing I'm just excited about is to see Kevin
next
Boiler
topic, right? You
put
know what
the
I'm talking
chin
about,
strap.
though?
Yeah, I've been
Put the
thinking
chin
about
strap
that,
on
Mitch.
for
I
Ward
heard.
the
How
Short.
many goals did you have at Team Hit the Frog last year?
One.
I had
One?
4.
You had
5.
one the whole tournament.
One. What happens if I score more goals than you
Yeah.
for Team Hit the Frog?
Yeah.
What happens?
What happens? I don't know.
What
You
if
gotta
Duke
rename
and
the show.
Temple-
You gotta rename the show for an episode.
You know, no, what I'll do is when we go to Parker House that night, you will not even have to bring your credit card.
Yeah. You might have to carry me. You might have to carry me
They
too.
don't take credit cards, cash only.
They take cash. You will not have to bring any cash. That's how much of a local I am. We'll talk about that off air. But the last rule that I don't want to glaze over, the overtime aspect. I don't really know if this is a massive change, but the Rules Committee is proposing overtime being extended from 4 minutes to a full 15 minutes. Kev, your overall thoughts on this?
I always thought 4 minutes was pretty arbitrary. Why would they do that anyway? I mean, it hits harder on a graphic when you say double or triple overtime, so I'll miss that. Yes. But I guess with no different timeout rules, you just get one timeout instead of potentially 3 in a triple overtime during that time span. So you're getting closer to a PLL overtime where there's no timeouts. So I guess I'm for that.
Speeds the game up. I like it. It's not as much stoppages with 4 minutes.
Yeah. As long as there's plenty of replays during the overtime, I'll be fine with it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that's going to be super fun. You know what else is pretty fun? The transfer portal. Bing bong, bing bong. James Hogan, please come to the microphone and let us know what the update in the portal is.
Well, we have a lot of big news that's actually happened last week at the portal. It's funny, we talked about last week. I said with all the turmoil and all the change at UVA, they didn't have a single player in the portal as of last week. Episode comes out on Tuesday. Bang, we got some UVA action.
People are listening. People are listening.
Just like that. So a lot of big moves the Cavaliers have made. We saw the Cassis files. I saw Dukes tweeting about on Twitter. Release them. I love that.
Yeah, seriously. Can't even get into it.
But, yeah, a lot of moves. Chris Fife, Vermont head coach, leaves Vermont as their head coach to become the Virginia defensive coordinator following the Cassis blueprint. He'll be head coach in a couple of years, Dukes.
No, you said D coordinator. It's coach in waiting. I just want it's coach in waiting / D coordinator. I don't want to say just D coordinator.
So it was a good move by Fife's, Dukes, to come.
Yeah. And look, all I got to say is it's very interesting that Logan Greco, I don't know if he's coming back or not, but he was the DC. So it's interesting that Cassis
what's that going to look like?
Yeah, so you got Chris Fife's Vermont head coach coming over, new defensive coordinator at Virginia. Dukes says coach in waiting, but they also got their new goalie of the future, Michael Ippoliti, transferred from Syracuse over to Virginia. Little ACC flair in the portal. He is their new goalie. Kyle Morris is in the transfer portal. He's transferring out. And Johnny Hackett. So those are 2 transfers out of UVA. UVA gets their new goalie next year. And how about Ohio State picking up 2 really solid transfers this week? They get Luke McNamara from Utah. He led college lacrosse in goals last year in scoring for the Utes. And then Johnny Hackett, coming over from Virginia, had a great did a great job at Bryant 2 years ago, came to Virginia last season, kind of had a little bit of a lesser role just because of all the talent they had on that team with the Millens and Colsey and the rest of the guys on that team. So I think Johnny Hackett's going to be really good for that Ohio State team next year. And then their rival team up north, the Michigan Wolverines, picked up maybe the biggest transfer out of anyone in the transfer portal, getting Timothy Shanahan from Boston. Probably the best player in the portal, Mitch, if we say. Yep. Unbelievable player, did a great job at Boston, joins his younger brother Luke Shanahan on this Michigan team. I think the Michigan offense next year with the 2 Shanahan brothers is going to be really good. And then an underrated pickup for Johns Hopkins, getting Jameson Kaufman, short stick D mini from UMBC. I love his game. You pair him up with Reese DeCiccio, or DeCecco. How do you even – we used to call him TD. I don't even know how to say his last name, Mitch. Do you?
No. Honestly, don't. That's so bad to say. We were teammates with his brother. I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Mitch, because did anyone call him anything other than
we
TD?
We call him TD. I think it's DeCiccio. I don't even know. And that's an Italian last name, so.
But you pair those 2 guys up.
Minus 20 ball knower of Italians.
No, but that's kind of like me. Like, everyone just called me Hoagie. Like, some people just have names. You don't even know their real name, Mitch. You just call them by the nickname.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that.
Mitch loves that. But, yeah, that'll be a great short stick D midi unit for the Jays next year.
One guy I'm excited to see where he is. Garrett Haas. Is he even home yet?
Yeah, he's still in the portal. We'll see where he lands.
I'm excited. I tell Hoagie this a ton. I think he's going to be a great player on a different team. I felt
Ohio State should get him.
Yeah, Ohio State could
we'll see. We'll see. I think he's going to go to an ACC school, and I could see him being a top player.
Which one do you think? Make a prediction right now.
Notre Dame.
Ooh, wow. Staying in the Midwest.
Mitch.
I said that confidently,
didn't I? That was my favorite take of your episode.
Said that confidently, didn't I?
I like that, Mitch. It's got me thinking. I like that.
Keep thinking. Keep
going
thinking.
Going up to South Bend, little Yago replacement?
You know what else you can keep thinking about? One of my friends, Joe Tsai is in the PLL Hall of Fame, baby. Clap it up for Joe Tsai.
Well deserved.
Drew Adams, Brody Merrill, and Hoagie's twin, Greg Grenlian, baby. All inducted into the PLL Lacrosse Hall of Fame this summer. First of all, let's talk about these three players first. Insane records in their time playing pro lacrosse. Records that probably won't ever be broken. I mean, some of these records literally will have to be, Joey Spleen and these guys will have to be playing until they can't even walk. To give you guys some context of how absurd these records are, let's kick it off to our resident of the UNC status, Dr. Kevin.
Mitch, I was going to let you take this after the replay segment, but I guess I got to take it back. So the other inductees, starting with Drew Adams, one of the greatest goalies of all time. He holds the record for most saves in pro field lacrosse history with 1,966 saves. Wow. I know we talked to Brett Dobson about this, but at Brett Dobson's current pace of saves per game, he would have to play until he's 38 years old to pass Adams. So, yeah, that's quite a bit. Now let's move on to Greg Beast Grenlian. He holds the record, 2,263 face-off wins. Hoagie, have you won that many face-offs in your life?
No.
I don't think so.
No, that's not. The answer is I don't know. It's no.
Well, anyway, Trevor Baptiste, he's won a lot of them, right? Seems like the most unbeatable guy at the Face-Off X. At his current pace for face-off wins per game, he would have to play until he's 40 years old. So,
jeez.
I don't know if that's happening or not. And then lastly, Brody Merrill, who holds the record. He's actually tied, this is crazy, first all-time with Greg Grenlian for most ground balls in pro field lacrosse history, which is insane. But for a non-face-off guy, even crazier, 1,120 ground balls. The closest guy that's not a face-off guy that we could think of, Zach Currier. Zach Currier would have to play until he's 53 years old to match that number. Brody Merrill.
Gosh, those are unbelievable stats. Brody was absolutely different. In the fourth one, Joe Tsai, baby. Tsai's obviously a major investor in the PLL, owner of the San Diego Seals, the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, and the NLL, a key contributor to lacrosse as a whole, getting it into the Olympics. Also founded the Tsai Lacrosse Fieldhouse at Yale. Full documentary right here. Thanks, K-Stu. Dukes. We've been going back and forth with folks on Twitter about Tsai's inclusion in the HOF. Does he deserve to be in this class? Answer correctly.
100%. 100%.
Exactly.
I think that people were kind of saying, like, why money can buy your way into the Hall of Fame. No, it's nothing like that. Nobody has done more for legitimizing professional lacrosse more than Joe Tsai. You'd be hard-pressed getting the lacrosse into the Olympics. It's not really... It's not untraditional. We see this in every single sport, that executives, owners get in to Hall of Fames. Joe Tsai has done more off the field than most players have done on the field, and maybe is arguably more deserving than some players that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame already. So I'm a firm believer that Joe Tsai was more than deserving of getting into the Hall of Fame. So
I mean, Jerry Jones in the NFL Hall of Fame. What has he done?
Right. I mean, he's because Jerry Jones helped legitimize and make the Cowboys a global presence, and Joe Tsai is helping players become full-time lacrosse players. PLL players now, 50% of the league are full-time lacrosse players, and that's a big part. In thanks to Joe Tsai.
The league wouldn't be where it is today without Joe Tsai.
100%.
A legend. The guy has been such a helpful force from the start of the PLL, before the PLL even was announced, with Mike and Paul behind the scenes, really, laying the groundwork and the foundation for what this league was going to be, and what this league ultimately is continuing to grow year after year. But Mitch, what this league is going to be when our kids are our age now down the line, like where the PLL is going to be. So yeah, the league wouldn't be where it is without Joe Tsai. I don't think the game of lacrosse would be the same without Joe Tsai. The impact he's had has been huge. I don't think a lot of people know that, Duke. Shout out to you for, putting that foot down on X, because I think a lot of people need to know how impactful Joe Tsai is. So shout out to him. Well-deserving in the Hall of Fame. Appreciate all he's done for the game.
Yeah, for the record, we would all have to podcast until we were 257 years old to make enough money that he has donated to the game.
I think
probably
we'd still be about $1 billion.
He's taking his coin and growing the game. I love it.
Short.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Mitch.
Just a little bit.
Mitch, you're his friend.
Do
you want to help explain to people? I saw some discourse on Twitter. I think you people should also know this. Joe Tsai, I think people said, someone tweeted at me, Joe Tsai didn't play lacrosse. You should have to play lacrosse to be in the Hall of Fame. Can you remind people that Joe Tsai did play for Yale?
He did. Again. See the video right here if you want to watch it.
Mitch
To get a little
plugging
sneak
his own
peek. Joe
video.
Tsai played lacrosse at Yale. I think it was, I don't know if it was Division I or club back in the day, but he did play. I think his kids play. There's some pictures online of him and his kids playing little mini lacs. Joe Tsai is a ball knower.
Legend.
I've yet to meet him. Consider him a friend, yes. And obviously, and also he's done it at the same time at the high school level, Lawrenceville. Donated a lot of money to get that program to where it is. That's consistently in the top 3 high school teams in the nation. An absolute legend for the sport. A massive thank you to Joe, from MPLS to TLN to everybody. He's just a massive, supporter of the sport and helping it grow forward. But now you guys know where to end it all, and that's in Q4. Duke Cannon, work harder, smell better, moment of the week comes from Piper Bond. Just absolutely embodying lacrosse finance segue pipeline. I mean, you guys have seen the clip. Breaking a sweat in the button down with the gloves on, which I think is the most critical part of this whole thing. I can't imagine going back to the keyboard and your fingers smell like your gloves. That just sounds heinous. But Dukes, I want to pivot to you real quick. I saw your tweet as a guy that doesn't really go on Twitter. You're ready to retire the whole lacrosse finance pipeline thing. It's kind of like re-bringing back when we were 10, 12, the Laxbro stage, which kind of died. And Shane Sheehan, which I think he seems like a super nice guy, is bringing this back.
Yeah.
What's your stance on all that?
I think it was very funny. Like, it's a very funny bit. I was a big fan of it. I was even tweeting about it, like, finding it very funny. I think the bit just got ran into the ground. It's like, if you make the same video with, like, pretty unoriginal idea, like, I think you took an unoriginal idea, made it funny, but then, like, you make 50 videos of the same bit in a week. It's kind of an overkill. But, yeah, funny dude.
Oh, Dauber pulling in.
Dauber, there he is.
What's up, boys? How we doing?
What up, Dauber?
There he is, calling in live. Hey, this is actually good. We're gonna get you on live. We were just talking about, you've probably seen him, Shane, we don't know how to pronounce it, the whole finance, pipeline, segue, you've seen all that. Are you a fan or not? Dukes was just bringing up the point how when we were younger, it was kind of the whole Laxbro aspect, Branton, Winston Worth aspect. It's kind of died down, and he's bringing it back. As a guy that's obviously a pro, and all of us on this call trying to get away from that, but we still kind of know it's funny. Where do you land with all that?
Yeah, I think for myself, growing up in Canada, the way the game is viewed is completely different, right? It's a little bit more hard-nosed. It's a little more grittier. And with that JPLL pipeline, I wasn't too familiar about it until I saw that Piper Bond wall ball video.
Yes.
And the boys got a good joke about it this week at practice. But, I think changing the way the game is huge. I think for me as a pro, it drives me up the wall when, people think we're pretty, entitled and privileged and, come from rich upbringings. I think that the PLL is doing a better job at that. I think that if you were to go take a look at a lot of the guys in the league, they're pretty good dudes. And I think the culture's changed in a good way too.
100%. Let's bounce to you. You obviously moved out west to Utah this past offseason. What's it been like living in Salt Lake City?
That's been awesome. I haven't spent a full week here yet. Been doing lots of stuff, lots of golf, really getting acclimated here, but it's been really cool. I think, Utah as a whole, as a state, is one of the more unique states that there is. And I think just being here and obviously wearing the Archers logo proudly is really huge.
100%. Obviously, this weekend, you guys got a big win against the Chaos. From your perspective, what worked so well for the offense against Blaze and that Carolina defense?
I just thought that they committed to getting lots of shots. That team had to play 2 games this weekend. We knew that we needed one. If we were to lose that going 1-3, it's a long way in, for the rest of the year and a lot of big games. So I felt like just kind of getting on the same page, talking things through after, the Maryland game. And I felt like overall the boys did a really good job gelling. And I felt like sometimes when you get punched in the mouth, that's when you respond best.
100%. From the media side, we've definitely given some heat to Bates and the Archers for taking a short stick D midi first overall. What are your early impressions on a player like Aiden McGuire?
Oh, Magoo's the man. He's a great dude. He's got a great personality. And you know what? I think he's still learning the PLL game. And I've had a lot of conversations with a guy like Bo Pedersen. I felt like it took him a couple games to really get going and understand the short stick D-mate position in this league. But for a guy like Aiden, he might not necessarily be used to having a lot of cameras in his face, and that changes when you get in this league, right? But one thing that in our staff is we're always going to draft, our best fit and what we think fits our organization best. And, I felt Aiden was a really good pick for that. And, the offense, we have a lot of really good O guys. Obviously, we have a couple guys on the shelf to start the year, but overall, our team's really come together at the right time.
Magoo.
Brett, real quick, can I follow up on that one? What do you think is the toughest part for a short stick defensive midi to make that leap? Dukes and I were just kind of going back and forth about it, whether it's like the size of the field or just like the player you're going up against who's not typically, your guy who's drawn a short stick at the college level. What do you think it is?
I just think it's just schematics and schemes, right? A guy like Aiden's been playing, and this is just from my perspective, right? Like, he's been playing with a different goalie where, hey, we're okay. You don't have to take the ball away from him. Just guide him down this alley. It helps me save the ball. If the ball doesn't go in the net, we all do great type of deal, right? So I think the speed of the game is something that obviously is different. Understanding that, hey, you're not with the guys every weekend, clearing the ball as well is a little different than what you're used to in college. So I think when you get those kinks out, and for him, he didn't get to go to training camp, and not going to training camp is very, very hard. I try to put myself in his shoes. If I missed training camp my rookie year, I would have been light years behind trying to catch up to the game speed. So for him being at his first action, being in practice, and then that game against Maryland, it's eye-opening, being like, hey, this game's fast. So for him, just getting his feet under him, I think is huge.
Dobby, you are all, and obviously the team are first in league in scoring defense and defensive efficiency. This is obviously without Graham Hossack this season. How has the defense been, so good for you in the past 4 games?
Well, I've only been here for 2, so I had a good seat and good view for the first 2. But you know what? I think our core, you take a guy like Haas out of the lineup, you can't replace a guy like Haas, but you can do your best to try and change the way that we approach things a little bit. And we kind of tinkered with that a bit, and I think just overall for this group, we've done a really, really good job. And, I think we got a lot of young D guys, and we played a lot of lacrosse together with a good core group of this defense, right? We've probably played 3-4 years. So we have a really good understanding of each other, and I think that, overall it's only going to get better and better.
You just hit it. You weren't there for the first 2 games. Obviously, first time missing the start of a PLL season. But this year, obviously, you were putting the finishing touches on your NLL season. MVP campaign with the Georgia Swarm. How did it feel coming to the PLL, obviously starting a little bit later? Did you get any FOMO at all?
Yeah, I did. First weekend, especially with it being in Utah, I love being here, obviously moving here. It's a close place to my heart, but missing out on those fans, we have the best fans in the game, in my opinion. But I felt like missing the start was tough, but I was lucky. Ryan Steins lives out here in Utah. I was able to we had almost 3 weeks off because we had the bye week and then a league-wide bye for Memorial Day weekend. So I was able to get my, get my touches in, kind of have my own mini training camp here at the University of Utah, and kind of hit the ground running. Clearly, I wasn't too dialed in on the clear, as you guys kind of saw my first game when I got my pocket picked, and it was a little bit of a house call. But I made sure I doubled down on the clear for the following week, and felt like I got my legs back under me. And honestly, I was nitpicking myself. I think I still saved the ball at 60% my first game.
Guy knows his stats. I love that. I mean, you just kind of hit on it, but the body as a whole, how is it feeling now? Obviously, you took a little bit of time off, but to go all the way from NLL right into this season, that's hopefully not going to end until mid-September for you guys.
Yeah, it was tough at the start. I know, you lose and you have high expectations for your indoor team, and you have a really good year individually, but at the end of the day, you want to win a championship. So when you come up short, it sucks. But when you have the opportunity to kind of get back out there and play, it's big. And for myself, I think I had enough time to kind of rest my body. Maybe another week would have been good, but I felt like it was nice to get going and get doing, field lacrosse again. And I remember putting the field pads back on for the first time. Steins hit me right in the arm, and that was all right, welcome back to field lacrosse. That hurts a little bit more than I'm used to.
Definitely. And we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. Obviously, no Hossack, but you have Warren Jeffrey and now Mitchell Dunham holding it down back there, obviously, for the defense as an Italian-Canadian yourself. What's in the DNA of the Canadian defenseman, and Bates seems to be and feels so much for the Archers?
I mean, they're tough as nails. Warren Jeffrey's one of the toughest guys I know. Mitchie being from Hamilton, I don't know too many guys that want to go to Hamilton. It's a very blue collar place. So Mitchie adds a little bit more Canadian sandpaper that him and Warren kind of have, and I think the combination of those two guys and Brendan Lavelle, he's got a lot of sandpaper to his game too. He's not necessarily Canadian, but I think those three guys, you throw Woody in there, and you got Cam Wires as well, and Stully kind of came in the mix there too. I think overall this group feeds off each other, and I think that Canadian kind of calmness and demeanor and knowing that, hey, we're not individuals out there, we're playing as a team goes a long way.
Yeah, Brett, I think that Coach Bates might be onto something with all those Canadians back there. You guys have the best defense in the league. But I want to talk about we had a new Hall of Fame class. I don't know how much of a historian you are, but legendary goalie Drew Adams, who also played for the Archers, got the call to the Hall of Fame this week. He's the all-time leader in career saves with 1,966. You famously said either last year or the year before that you want to play for 20 years. Well, if you do, you might be approaching that record someday. With all due respect to Drew, do you see yourself owning that record one day?
I would like to, yeah. I don't think, there's a lot of really good goalies in this league, and I don't think I would be the first one to break it. I think, someone kind of along the lines of Blaze might do it first, and I think that would be like hey, let's kind of keep chasing that goal. But, for Drew, like I wouldn't be in the position I am for him if he didn't retire at the time he did, right? So, see a guy like that who had a Hall of Fame career and was not only a great goalie, but an even better person off the field, I think speaks volumes to the position itself, and a guy like him get inducted. So I was very happy to see that. And, on top of that, even seeing Brody Merrill, like a guy who was my high school coach, and I got to play Team Canada with him my rookie or his last year in the pros was really, really cool to see. I mean, there's never a doubt that Brody was never not going to be in the Hall of Fame. So having a guy like him follow up as well, I feel like this year's class is pretty good.
Brett, there's a lot of talk lately about the proposed 5-and-5 rule coming to college sports. If it's passed, a lot of the players would suddenly have, obviously, an extra year of NCAA eligibility. You were kind of the first guy to skip out on that extra year to go to a top school, to go to the PLL. What are your thoughts on this? If 5-and-5 does end up passing, will most guys, you think, take that extra year in college? Or will we see some of the big names in college now start to pull a Brett Dobson and declare for the PLL draft early?
I think it depends on everyone's position, right? I know the NIL game picked itself up now, and I think that some of these guys might have an opportunity to go do that. But I think with the 5-and-5 rule probably getting passed, like you just saw this week with the Croddick deal, giving up a first round for him. Like you might not have a goalie that's available next year, and I think that's a really smart play. Had we known that, we maybe would have picked him up and traded him. But I think overall, though, you might see more guys do it, and you might see guys be like, I want one more year. Like it just depends on the person and their situation and what they really want to do in life.
Dalbert, Mitch just said you won NL MVP. Congratulations, by the way. I don't know if Mitch said congratulations, but I just did. Becoming the first goalie to ever do so. How much have you thought about the possibility of winning PLL MVP this season?
I haven't thought too much about it. I think for me, it's 1 week at a time. I think the only time it's ever crossed my mind was seeing you talk about it, so I appreciate that, Dukes. But I do got to correct you. I think I was the third goalie to ever win it in the NLL.
Okay,
yeah.
Look, no, thank you for correcting me. I'm pointing the thumb.
Historian.
It's all right, but no, it's a tremendous honor. Like even to even be possible. I think there's only been one in the PLL since it's been there. I don't know if there's been any in the MLL. So it would be a cool, obviously, accomplishment to have. And but I think we want to get back over the mountaintop and be a champion. So I'd rather maybe a third finals MVP if possible. I'd rather that than a league MVP.
Yeah, I know you're all about winning the championship, and that's why I love you so much, especially as a player. But I do want to ask, excuse me, if you did win NLL MVP and PLL MVP in the same season, what would you give bachelor party?
Hold on, Brett. He just came from a bachelor party, so please refuse his call. We all thought it was a baptism, but it was actually a bachelor party. So repeat the question again, Dukes.
What would you call it if someone won NLL MVP and PLL MVP in the same calendar year?
I don't know, but it wouldn't top the Hugh trick. That was pretty amazing to see what he did.
Yeah,
That was impressive.
I didn't see. I knew the hat trick
Triple
happened.
Crown.
The huge trick is elite name.
The Long Island Railroad.
Long Island Railroad.
The
Yeah.
huge trick. I like that. Dukes, you got one more?
Yeah, Dauber, you're a Canadian. I'm an American. I'm watching the NBA Finals more than the Stanley Cup. Who's winning?
Sorry, say that one more time. I
Who's winning that? Who's winning the Stanley Cup?
I think it's going to be the Knights, man. Like, the way the Canes dismantled the Canadians, I thought they had a good chance. But the way Mitchie Marner's playing right now, there's no real chance that anyone else is going to come close to that, you know?
Oh, you just awoken the Canes fan on the call.
Yeah, look, AP's coming out with the Canes hat.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I would be happy. If it goes to 7, it goes to 7.
Unmute AP, unmute.
All I'm saying is that the 2006 Cup went to 7, so the boys got life.
If it goes to 7, I will be fired up for 7 games because it's the best thing that could happen in sports. Is
Last night's
7,
game
you know?
was unreal.
Unreal.
The last 2
Brett,
games
I
have been
never
unbelievable.
asked you before. Did you play hockey?
Yeah, I was a hockey goalie. I retired before high school.
Okay, all right.
Where are you coming from, by the way? You're in the car. Where are you coming from?
I just came back from a Black Desert Golf Resort in St. George, Utah. Shot 81 today, boys. Keep the change.
Whoa.
Wow.
Sheesh. What do we score? What do we get?
81.
He just said an 81.
Wow.
Did you just not listen the first time? He's our
No,
guest.
he
dude.
cut
Have
out
some
on me.
fucking class.
Cut out easy bachelor party baptism. That's awesome, Brett. I think if you were to play, if you could pick your foursome in golf right now that were only lacrosse players, currently playing or retired, who would your foursome be for golf?
Good question.
Are we going off of vibes or are we going off of talent?
Oof, yeah, I'm gonna
That's
say
a
vibes.
big one. Vibes.
Yeah.
City vibes.
Vibes.
Vibes? Oh, I gotta go with Nick Bashuta. He's the man on the track. He's a beauty.
Okay.
He's just the man.
Like that.
He's always got good vibes. Good guy. He's always got your back no matter what. I'll go with Dyson Williams because he's just an absolute beauty. And you know what? He might not hit the ball very straight, but he can crank him back. So you always need a guy like that in your group. And my fourth one, I'll go with give me Trey Leclerc because he's a pretty good golfer too.
Wow.
Another beauty.
I love that. Come on, baby. Get a Buckeye in there. I like that. Well, Dauber, as we feel like a mainstay of the show, we appreciate you coming on again. Obviously, you guys can follow Brett Dobson on any social platform, but we'll be watching the rest of the season, so we appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, boys. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Now, the way we always end the show. Ball knower alert, ball knower, Honor Palmer alert. Alex Poole is on the scene, baby. Check. Can we see it?
Wow.
Glistening as always. Glistening mirror-like.
I don't know
Do you
if
ever
you
put
guys
lotion
can
on that
see.
thing? Or can you put lotion on the top of your head, or is that not allowed?
You can, yeah. I have like
Okay.
SPF, but dude, I was at the PLO games in Charlotte. If you guys see that right there, I hit my head on the media tent so hard, I thought I was gonna knock myself out. And it was when I was meeting some of our coworkers for the first time, and I just smacked my head against it, and then I'm dazed. I'm like, hey guys, like I promise I'm cool sometimes.
And
AP,
that's a
by the
lasting
way,
memory
I
of
saw
you.
you on TV
Yeah.
a couple times, AP, with the bucket hat. You got a couple TV shots.
Yeah, nice, dude. I live and die by the bucket hat now. For photography, it like you can like flip mode the bucket hat. It's the best.
Mitch, you're a big bucket hat guy. Can't.
Every camp. Shot MitchellPehlke.com. Every
Is Dukes
single
coaching in
camp.
Long Island for camp?
I texted him. Haven't got a response. AP, what do we got for ball knower?
Hasn't asked me. Don't even want it. I told all the Garden City kids, do not work this camp. all the moms was like, don't send your sons. He's a bad guy.
Last year, I tried to get my nephew into the Charleston one. He said we're sold out, and I went online and registration is still
No.
That's insane.
I don't
That's
know.
a lie.
Same thing just
Stop.
happened to me.
Stop.
Same thing just happened to me.
Gosh.
Go to Mitch's camp.
Come on,
Go to
baby.
Mitch's
All right, what do we got? First of all, standings.
He needs it for the Joe Tsai building.
Joe Tsai, so we don't have to work for 1,000 more years.
Building at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium.
Please attend his camp.
The Mitchell Pehlke Frog Center in Columbus.
Get Mitch to the Hall of Fame.
Imagine Nick Myers in 10 years is like, we're going to go play Michigan in Frog Stadium. Can you imagine that? I just make so much bank that I can just call this Frog. Oh, that'd be so sad.
Mitch in the Hall of Fame. Who's giving your acceptance
I mean,
speech?
it's a race between Mitch and RJ. Now that the contributor section is open.
Mitch, if NIL gets big with the jersey patches, imagine Ohio State's got a frog patch as their sponsor.
Oh my gosh,
dude, we got to get
TLN.
Dude, we gotta get.
Yeah, can we sponsor
Mitch
a team, a TLN team? That'd be sick.
Yeah, dude, we should. That would be
sick.
AP, we should do a TLN team on like LaRoche or something, or Reese McCray.
You know what we should, Mitch? I got a merch idea for you now that I'm just talking with the boys. You know how the frog mascot just like has the fupa like outside of his jersey, like his belly's like out. We should make fanny packs with like MPLE fanny packs that make you look like the fat frog.
Just that same color. Wear it under your T-shirt.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, I got ball knower. You guys ready?
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
All right. Let me see how I want to word this.
I'm winning, by the way.
Yeah, do you guys want a score update?
Yes, please.
No.
Okay, Mitchell definitely doesn't want one. Mitch, you have 2. Hoagie has 3. Dukes and Kevin Boylard are tied at 5, but Kevin is the recent winner.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So,
I wasn't going to correct you, Kev. I was like, I'll let the facts speak for themselves.
All right, for today.
I'm feeling really good about this one.
Me too.
Mac O'Keefe this weekend tied the record for most goals in a PLL game. Before the PLL, who holds the record for most goals in a single game in MLL history?
John Grant Jr. He had 10.
Ryan Brown.
Paul Rabel.
It's not John Grant Jr.?
Maybe somebody had more than 10, Hoagie.
Oh, my God.
Marcus Holman.
Bingo.
Gosh.
That was a ball knower.
Bingo.
How many? That was Ball Knower City. How many does he have?
Marcus Holman had 11 goals with the Ohio Machine versus the Long Island Lizards in
2017.
the year of our Lord and Savior, 2018.
Oh, wow.
Not even that long ago.
Sheesh.
God, I remember that game.
I would have loved to watch that
John
game.
Grant. I
couldn't see it anywhere. By the way, the pro game's never been in a worse spot. I learned that this weekend. When you couldn't even watch Marcus Holman score 11 goals.
Yeah, they're talking that I'm on TV, and we used to not be able to watch Marcus Holman drop 11. Like,
that's crazy.
But don't worry, the pro game's never been in a worse spot.
Gosh, I love that. Well, that's going to wrap it up here on MPLS. I think let's end it off on our old-fashioned way. Dukes, give the fans a fun sign-out or fun fact.
Like we learned today, Ohio State has more PLL studs than anyone else, and they haven't won a tournament game since before Mitch was on campus.
See you next Tuesday.